Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Alpha Efficiency. In this show, I want to talk about the website creation process. My team created this presentation and they called it Alpha Creation Process, which kind of sounds a little cool. And I liked it, but it encompasses the main elements of creating a successful, profitable website. So there's a lot of steps that go into a website creation process, and I want to share them with you. Whether you are a freelancer, whether you're a business owner, I want to share what our process entails and why it is so complex, and what is the value that your business will get out of it, or your clients, what the value will they get out of you following this method to building a website. So usually we start with the discovery phase. And inside of the discovery phase, you really want to get familiar with what kind of an audience do you want to engage with, who is the website built for. And inside of the discovery phase, we're literally learning what kind of a content do we need to prepare, what kind of the visual communication style will the audience prefer to have, and what is going to be the semantic structure of the website so that we actually gain some traffic from search engines and we win some business through the website itself. So uh, exchanging information is going to be the key. Uh, Typically, we like to know if we're building an internal website, we really rely on a keyword research, which is a very elaborate process of understanding what people are typing in that is cross-related to what we are trying to sell. In this phase, we're defining the keyword difficulty and the SEO competition and balancing these two out. The higher the search volume for the keyword, the more lucrative the keyword is. And the more competition there is, the more you will have to invest into SEO in order to actually rank over there. So our go-to strategy really depends on the budget. And in order to define the keywords that we want to go after, we need to have an idea about the budget beforehand so we can adjust the expectations of the SEO strategy based on the keyword difficulty or the amount of the SEO competition, if you prefer that phrase rather. The communication is the key, whether it's a client, whether it's an internal team. Uh, Everyone wants to understand what they need to accomplish, and the website is never a single person project. It will always require a graphic designer that's typically UX specialist at the same time. Sometimes they can be two different people. Then you will have a web developer that we will put the code structure for the entire site. You will have an SEO director, a person that will do the research for the SEO. You will have a content writer or a copywriter that will make sure that the whole website flows nice and that it actually conveys a story to your visitors. So these are all the wants that you may have. In the phase number two, we're creating the wireframe. And inside of the wireframe and the UX strategy, we also have this component of integrating the rudimentary SEO, of really understanding what the content writing team will write about. So wireframing is a really good way to create an environment in which it's going to be easier for design team to design in, but it's also going to give you a very solid foundation in which you will be able to create a worksheet, which is technically a spreadsheet through which we confirm that every step of the way, whether it's content, design, web development, or quality assurance has been completed. And that's why we started with that plan. So there's a lot of little things that get included in wireframing, like buttons, tools, and placements for all the functionalities. So most of the wireframes can be different. It will depend whether you're building a lead generation website, whether you're building an e-commerce, which will have a much more complex flow than a business card type of website that only has like a contact form. Then the SEO strategy requires an effort of an SEO specialist. An SEO specialist is a key individual in the website creation process because they are the ones who are defining what content will be ordered from the content creation team. So SEO specialists have to rely on years of their experience of observing the SERP to determine, does website even stand a chance when getting published to drive some traffic? So in order to accomplish the traffic, you really have to focus on the low-hanging fruit. And as I previously mentioned, the keyword research is a part of this process that determines what will we write about and what will we optimize the content for. Following that, the SEO specialist will make the order from the content writing team. Most of the websites we've dealt with on the initial launch have anywhere between 2 to 6,000 words. Despite what many people say, that word count does matter, even for the homepage, and you do want to have more content than less. So the copywriter and the SEO have to work in tandem to create this infrastructure. If you've noticed, I've talked about the website creation process so far, and we haven't even touched the design yet, which means that the ideal workflow for creating a site is not starting with design. It's actually starting with wireframing, SEO, and copywriting, and then it moves over to the design. The very good reason why you want to start the design after you have the content ready is due to the fact that you can get a lot of creative ideas as a graphic designer or web designer after you read the content, because it will give you like innuendos of the industry and what you're trying to accomplish. So there is a cohesion between the written content, the written word, and the visual communication. And it's very good when the creatives can work together and create something awesome that no one would have thought of if the content came later. We've done a lot of instances where the client was responsible for the content and content came last, and then the whole content looked like a hodgepodge in the design. This is why we have a preference to work with the content up front and design after the fact. So design phase is a phase in which you use a tool like Figma. What you're seeing right now is Figma as a tool. And when you have brand guidelines, it's pretty easy to start designing following the rules like a color palette, typography, and all these other icon elements that can go into the site. But for a lot of clients we worked with, they didn't come to us with the brand guidelines. So website de facto becomes brand guidelines for a majority of the startups and clients we're working with that are on a smaller scale. Medium, large businesses are a different story. And that's when designers really need to be careful not to step on too many toes when it comes to the official brand guideline document provided to us as a provider. So it's very important that during the design phase that all stakeholders collaborate properly and well inside of the Figma, which is like a competitor of Adobe XD. And we really highly recommend this tool because it allows for asynchronous communication between the parties that are involved in creating a website. And that is really critical because it diminishes the amount of the time needed to have meetings and go back and forth, because it's one central location of truth for all the comments and feedback on a graphic design. In this phase, Alpha Efficiency as a company loves to be extremely collaborative in order to ensure that the clients are always walking out with a website that's perfectly fitted for them and their needs. The real good aspect of Figma is that the end product of the work inside of this tool will be a working website prototype that needs to be assembled into the code later. And we're moving on to the design approval as one step with the process. Once the client approves, only then we start to do the coding part of the work. And in the coding phase, there is not as much interaction and collaboration. This is the work of the assembly, of getting the moving parts brought together and ensuring that website is adhering to the user experience criteria, making sure that the website works on all responsive breaking points, and getting it connected potentially with your CRM, making sure that your e-commerce is working if your website has such a feature on it. So the coding phase is a bulk of work, but what we've noticed as an agency that a lot of programmers, they're not so aware of the little details. They're not OCD about the design as some other professions are. So on our team, we typically have two people conducting the QA, the original designer that was involved in the project from the get-go, the person that designed the site. They are defending the graphic integrity in front of the web. So they're the ones who will go in alongside with a quality assurance person to make sure that everything's right. Now, there's a lot of typos that you encounter when you're building a website. It's just the nature of the game that people get sloppy. So what you want to do once the website is completed, you can use some of the tools that are allowing you to proofread your content and get the spell check right, because sometimes a designer drops like a misspelled word inside of Figma, and that word gets verbatim copy pasted onto the live site. So you always want to have a quality assurance as the final step of the game before you send the website to the client. This ensures very high level of integrity of the design, and therefore the higher customer satisfaction with the whole process of building the site. And that's it. That would be the building of the website in a nutshell. You start from a wireframe, an SEO strategy, then you go to the design, and ultimately to coding and QA. Once all of these steps are fully completed, you're experiencing a fully formed product that is delivered for the final approval from the client. So this was our explanation of what it entails to build a professional website as an enterprise user. I hope you enjoyed it. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments below. Please like and subscribe if you liked watching this video. And if you need a website yourself, feel free to book a call. We'll leave the link in the comments, and we look forward to helping you out. Have a good one, guys.